Is Julian online?
Yeah.
I see.
Do you all get asked, Yaya asked me to record this round for the money for.
I already did it.
Oh, you did?
I just did it. He asked me to.
Have you been to the Zoom? It's on that. I don't know if somebody can.
Yeah, I do.
Is it just like the? I think I just got kicked out the Zoom meeting because I disconnected from the phone. Shreyas, does it show that I'm in there? Like am I?
Yes,
Like,
yes, I see. Okay, I think everyone is like here on the Zoom. Let me know when everyone has the 1AC pulled up and we can get started. Taylor is good. Julian.
I just need to open the agreement.
Yeah, let me know whenever you're good.
Yeah, I got you. I'm good.
You all good?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start in like 5 seconds. Plan the United States Army's nuclear forces advantage one is to start a litany of global systemic stress space nuclear use and the only sufficient guarantee not used to complete abolition Robinson, then alternate nuclear system, reserves of numerous nations, the world is currently having a nuclear conflict or time to rate of ours from China, Pakistan, North Korea, Middle East, the effort of Russia, there's limited public Russia to resist the rest of nuclear weapons supposed as long as remain in existence, highly likely they will be used, not by design, human error, miscalculation, result of any use will be catastrophic, kill 5 million people, cause extinction of humanity, only guarantee of non-use is there, complete abolition, politics, to practice, harm, design, fantasy, questionable subjects, including nuclear weapons, and uses being used to change them can be definitely maintained with there's a legal strategy, security, moral case, and real others, meaningful, disclosure, disarmament, the while has the world and opens which humanity waits its execution, unilateral reductions are necessary, insufficient causes global follow-on, but failure to do so guarantees nuclear use. Whitner, at 16 disarmament doors, vital outlook, elements exist, and likely they will be used. Marines, nations of their exposed by terrorism or accident, more than 1,000 accidents, over 10, 15, 60, altitude, economic disaster, we must not be as lucky programs with an obviously costing over service, in place to spend $1 trillion to reform the weapons complexes to come out of funding for public health, nuclear weapons prevention is awarding the willingness of other states to our by the treaty disarmament result of very real benefits, reducing the danger for non-domestic performance, and Russian ready pressure to the U.S. leading would embarrass the Russian government before the world opinion, numerous of result in disease, exposure, and starvation, or unilateral action has been taken over the no adverse consequences, and not regular other useful actions from being taken along the way. The impact of nuclear use outweighs all other risks. Disarmament is the only way to solve those. 22 consequences of nuclear war devastating much more should be done in furnace of nuclear war and in lands of immediately devastation nuclear fallout radioactive death rise of nuclear winter famine. Most serious consequences cities attack for nuclear missile water, nuclear fire storms, north of the cities and spread around the planet and block the sun side the planet cause nuclear. Given the report would cause fail and billions would start returning not connected to the battlefield would be better with them entirely restoration beyond disarmament is possible. These weapons start to kill billions of vulnerable accident parties need to be in control. This is not the case was the type of errors and accident possible alarms and close official predators the risk of nuclear terrorism hackers control the chain of command is going to conflict between nuclear powers accident hacker terrorists leads to detonation of the risk of only zero all weapons are removed extinction outweighs bomb and mirror 87 minutes more about more important than nothing many critically lost all future generation 500 trillion to be to unrest moves equals probability times minus societal trillion times harder to prevent global catastrophe than is able for subsidy make it extremely large for residence reduction the extent of virtually all other objectives go everyone has a right for their own views stronger ours arguments are really the position that you all human lives should be valued equally philosophers speak but feel ignorance in which he considers the weapons of society irrespectively which members they happen to be valued equally equal for everyone equally is just a very high value for reducing GCR advantage 2 is warming the current defense budget massively prioritizes nuclear modernization over funding innovation climate based technologies prowess and to power competition taking military strategy rising top level blind defense spending bad request $750 billion for defense budget will slightly exceed $800 billion will result globally with $650 million for competition 0.1% of total defense budget EPA would receive mere $1.8 billion to combat climate change environmental security threats and commentary and access to scope and safety to what he was welfare social preservation flooding severe weather medical health which are existential kid temperatures incompatible with the existence of love heat shows heat related illnesses kill chances of deaths every year once a week so just money I got for non-traditional security climate change natural disasters and pandemics and there's reverse causal funding for modernization directly trades off with funding necessary to combat combat climate change, the plan redirect innovative capacity towards those efforts during COD and 22 safer posture. Must reduce the nuclear program self progress towards armament. Set a dangerous precedent, require policies to reduce the role of nuclear weapons to avoid dangerous doctrines by trigger nuclear weapons accidental simulation. Or not as if it's a sporting content running for everything as possible. Economy, healthy society, is serious individual person, and it should try to challenge the weakest not the need to nuclear industrial complexes sooner. The better arbiters go to accommodating or repeating Russia and China is dangerously hard control policy and reducing risks. Water cycle policies are first to remove the security and the sole authority versus likelihood of the nuclear national laboratories. Diversify away from nuclear weapons, pandemics, climate change, renewable energy, and innovation. Every degree of innovation is necessary to make geoengineering effective red hot. 22 we can use our oceans positive on the air scale. It may take clearly the climate control should be CO2 removal can also negative emission. We will need to leverage the ocean mineral weathering methane capture content CO2 removal makes something to use as carbon. So we have solar engineering. It feels like we need to all the innovation that we can get. Only geoengineering can overcome climate action. We are past the tipping point, and the alternative is billions of death caught for already 2020. How many billions will have to presence in those trials? Climate catastrophe because of the tech innovation rather than universal 11 and will geoengineering the best time for the renewable engineering proposal to remove carbon and turning their efforts in the right direction. Activism neither stop oil producers nor industrial consumers from consuming the crucial chain task time. Accumulated carbon emissions will wreak havoc. The plan solves sufficiently by limiting the nuclear arsenal. The current trajectory of defense spending is unsustainable and erodes global nuclear dissemination cable and bring to an end the structure to the close plus the role of use nuclear weapons and research simply operationalize the principle nuclear cannot be one and must not be part of the nuclear war ruled out. The use of nuclear strike and responsible to tell false alarm strike the lead to control not that any with the answer to deter the third current modernization for the priorities for world sponsor other states building the arsenal resources nuclear conflict obligation under the NPT to the non-proliferation of policy for the actual gossiping organization will have prevent implication of spending unnecessary unsustainable plus dangerous higher priority needs. This is of climate change that is key to global nuclear energy that effectively solves climate change via decarbonization. WNN21 industry supports the NPT's cornerstone of use of nuclear energy can be expanded as out of energy to manage the ambitious goal. Climate goals that basically try to key role in their clean energy transition facility to nuclear tech as a development rules. Bridging that means the NPT vision was to harness the atom of atom for economic goal for humanities and process of climate challenge local carbon electricity is the same as 20 years ago. Pressing commitments in order to lead to the 1.5 degree scenario in nuclear. It needs to grow rapidly to the as out of energy to manage climate change targets and SDGs that be better energy force development and make commitments to have access to the full benefits of the peaceful application of nuclear tech and nuclear power is the most portable, scalable tool to meet energy needs. Nuclear energy can play a role decarbonizing, produce fresh water through desalination, synthetic fuels. Climate change is past the tipping point. Nuclear energy is the only game-changing culinary that can solve. That's love it. And 21 today's best with a war just 3 decades, just 3 days, humanity with more carbon. It will take unprecedented radiation into a freeze will be only 2 degrees, only 1 century to source throughout the entire islands and major cities uninhabitable. This is utopian in 2021 to fill the gap because there's no possible path. There's neither constituency nor any reason there will be. You can have the unity department of poverty everywhere. Simple live on $50 a year of voters. You know, there's a water resources and gas prices level. Total costs and living standards. Any Chinese or any leader would be absent. Nothing short of an absolute dictatorship could the best chance for making humanity square and sustainable. Or that the only be bridged by tagging the choices. Tech will get green hydro breaks before it's too late. Markets get up to tech any castle. Coal not in deference to environmental movements on calling competitors of solar. The same story holds for across age of our species and race cycles. Starts all day. We have real life for building shit green. Industrially can be made in America. Make up to the hot somebody over here. Enough people to save the collaboration of the emission, but we have the resources to have the development of the world save us decarbonization will come from tech and we be a risk not to toss our collective world game changing. Hail Marys like nuclear fusion, climate change, conservation, Brody, and Watson putting the climate change to existential to humans, reinforcing the IPCC and the UN, CBD climate, doesn't have any impacts on human societies and economies as a are unrest in their public climate change manifest, does some exacerbate species and endangerment of the best of change, we see a crisis climate change manifest biodiversity and climate learning, warming at the deforestation, where's the ocean temperatures, whatever invasive species and toxic loss of coral reefs, cascade millions of people are displaced. Climate change is devastating ag and water, which increases welfare, civil war, with caused by dry climate change will destabilize access to resources. Climate change could affect warfare and outweighs other risks by a trillion times in energy and 19 climate causes changes due to non-linear cascading feedback, multiplicative threshold, and tipping points as collapses causes sea level rise, melting, increases forming and carbon, relative methane imported, runaway warming, the adaptability limit, making extinction likely. Modern models unreliable, even though the probability extinction is more important by a trillion. Climate thresholds are being passed out. Each scenario causes conflict. Patrick, 22. Tell me the thing of gradual through maybe scary critical commodities by erosion to make points over non-lineation and cellular climate. Changes as a consequence of global environment, sea levels are heat waves and outside clouds are increasing higher global warming to and rapid dieback. Accelerating the methane of permafrost relates to solar methane and carbon dioxide consequences of any tipping point when actual reverberations and of colonies and governments will take matters to their own hands with destabilizing consequences. Most comprehensive record show warming leads to irreversible food and water shortages, pandemics, species collapse and carbon sinks yang and Chen 23 because upside down public comments and climatic data cards of climate. People will be living in extreme temperatures will show that 85% of the population will experience the impact of the climate crisis. Latest IPCC report argues that warming as which is hard to limit adaptation review numerous and studies comprehensive scientific research diseases spreading more areas that have every irreversible changes in the ecosystem due to droughts and heat waves and food systems collapse fast carbon water shortages and food systems are high due to that on disease differential as a whole. The virus was a hold huge risk in humanity like immunity transmission as it brings all pathogens spreading non novel legacy progress contaminate controlling disease cause extinction camp at all 21 evidence of human like we present as simulation experiments of disease and all known to humans little that way these lead to human extinctions the black decimal blocks SARS about a large population the risk increases with ability to humankind extinction will infect every person we study have most stochastic models however you're not going to quantitative assessment we consider various disease characteristics will have real certain disease lead to human extinction. Every optimistic assumption predicts irreversible societal collapse camp then 22 even not optimistic assumption dangerous trajectories feedback ending with under high GHG concentration already from process time with a methane and the carbon loss due to droughts and fires and this is also going to have any are not likely to be proportional to warming impacts like I said across systems of over the points is evident. I'm starting to amplify into a hot acid compound that are reversible warming. The domino effect that creates catastrophic direct and indirect impacts on 2020 companies is an existential threat. Problems are not problems where they create domino for the rules of companies are every level to translate on war and all the problems that we can even in the months of warming climate has been every massive sector path are not limited to financial crises, conflict, and disease. Good throughout the calamities and nuclear way invisible tipping points magnify the risk. Modeling in 21 climates to undesirable states significant changes for polar ice sheets and the assumption the tipping elements cross critical temperature totals may have its ability to enter climate system and increase risk increase significantly interactions of critical thermal temperature lower by reducing overall stability anomaly interactions with chaos and anomaly responsive governments as in any case of fully robust results only geoengineering reverses existential climate change fuel go full carbon neutrality tomorrow's inadequate shot and 20 climate may be the next orderly human and even if we could be able to develop climate change for thousands of years carbon is carbon is rapid human release 1 tons annually 470 ppm and an increase of 2 months rate the current rate is 100 times less than any period constituting the ability to adapt to specific 1,000 years from now will be the unless the process can be represented slowly and as we extend the process to prevent changes and already been heat waves followed by diseases and coastal erosion the ice sheets can also remove 400 ppm per quarter breaking extremes including heat that is beginning to make life impossible during migration so fuel by excess solar energy are becoming more dangerous and frequent raising seas already posted essential to nations world what exposed to the consequences of global warming and our proposed engineering responses will take negate the serious harms geoengineering is key anymore and towards the humanities so to climate back how to lower 60% by the level of research solar geoengineering the theory of climate change scientists recommend the real approach to solar geoengineering reducing sunlight by reducing aerosols Celsius and total research there 2 greater number of greenhouse already the atmosphere what makes solar geoengineering attractive is how quickly it can reduce warming. Yeah, I don't have time for that last card.
What's up?
What's up?
No, you said.
I just said I don't have time for the last card.
Yeah,
So.
okay. Okay. Let me. You good?
Yep.
Alright. First question, I just need a yes or no because it's not complicated. Is the U.S. founded off of enslavement of black people and genocide of indigenous people?
Yes.
Cool. Nuclear facilities or the things you need for nuclear energy to be produced, where are these facilities placed?
Where the facility is placed, our argument is that current uranium and plutonium that is within the isotopes and nuclear warheads, those silos would be repurposed towards nuclear facilities.
Okay, so those silos, do you know where those silos are placed?
Yeah, I mean, we have silos across the sort of like Great Plains area.
Okay, are they placed on stolen indigenous land?
That land was initially stolen from indigenous people.
Oh, not initially, but it's still stolen, but cool. Geoengineering, where do you get the minerals / resources to build things like solar, etc.?
So the resources in the context of like the nuclear component of it is like what I mentioned previously about.
Well, actually, hold on. What is geoengineering?
Geoengineering encapsulates a couple different things. There's a few different technologies that fall under the umbrella of geoengineering. I think one of them would be like CCS. There's other examples that I think are evidence sites in the context of ocean algae that could constitute forms of geoengineering. Does that answer? Is that it?
Yeah, it's not really like
Okay.
solar and wind panels. It's like
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like this climate advantage is premised on the idea that if we disarm nuclear weapons, for some reason, like the funds that we use towards nuclear weapons automatically go to like climate programs. Like,
well, we have two
where
internal
is
links. We have two internal links to the climate advantage. I'll explain the other one first. That one is just that the U.S. disarming its nuclear forces abides by Article 6 of the NPT, which unlocks nuclear energy transfer. So that independently.
Yeah, but it's like the U.S. doesn't even abide by the NPT because we haven't disarmed our forces at all. So that's
we agree.
That's the
The
first
plan
thing.
disarms.
So second warrant. What's the second warrant?
Well, right, so the plan disarms, which solves the first warrant. The second warrant is that our evidence indicates that the EPA receives 0.1% of the nuclear defense budget, and we have read reverse causal evidence that says that the U.S. disarming its nuclear forces will result in funding transfer to the EPA.
Wait, where does it say the transfer happens?
The card that's typed, it's reverse causal, so in CONE 22.
Okay, so not a result of fiating the plan, but it's a process that
Yes, it's not a fiat
cool.
mandated of the plan.
Other thing is, aside from like these climate like transfers that happen, how does this help like black and brown communities of color?
The plan prevents extinction. That'd be very bad for black and brown
The
communities.
plan is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
it's not
Through multiple
always
different
in the
scenarios,
plan,
yeah.
But
Okay,
we
here's
said
the
like
plan.
except by the plan helping people through climate efforts.
Okay, but it's like
That's
things.
and then first it's like the first.
But it's
stage.
like other things like, for example, like fracking facilities, nuclear facilities are always placed near black and brown communities such as like Wilmington, Long Beach, and those cause like a rise in cancer rates for the people living nearby. What does the 1AC do to stop the placement of nuclear facilities in those areas?
So like the first example that you gave of fracking facilities being placed in those areas is precisely what the 1AC changes because it disincentivizes
Wait, how
those
does it
types of
change
energy
it?
to exist. Sorry, what's that?
You require more sites. How do you disincentivize where the sites are placed?
Well, the way that those current sites are placed is one that targets particular populations. The example that I gave about being on ICBM silos is vastly different from the example that you gave.
Okay. Julian, were you able to hear me or no? Was Julian able to hear me?
Good time on the
I don't.
I'm out.
Julian, were you able to hear cross-X? Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
I got it on the side.
Okay. Just for next time, I'll make sure to.
I think we were close enough, so it should have been. But yeah.
Okay. I'm about to send it out. It's gonna be 2 in that case.
Sorry.
You're good. I'm about to send it out. It's gonna be 2 in that case, Julie. It should be sent. Do you have the other channel? Justin, Kevin, Julian Thumbs from California. Cool. I'll start with a bit. Okay. Emory, all good, right?
We would like to honor the following Ernest Wilkin, Edward R. Russell, Bonnie Taylor, and all of the Black nuclear scientists. We'd like to also honor Michael Deck, Curly King, L.K., Haley Hughes, Maria, Edison, Laurie, Hanbury, and all the other Black anti-nuclear activists, Charles Reese, Martin, Edward Kelsey, Tiffany, the other Knockhammer, Ward, Devon, Murphy, nickname, Adrian Butler, all the other Black debaters, coaches, and judges on Black History Month, about the team that provide best literature for Black liberation is required east side within Arts and Towns, and the Black Rock Revolution. They have not been the burden of honoring Black History Month, the one in Ernest, Texas, and the unique site of the Black voices from the history of the team. Same control the Jim Crow, the Belize Valley, Master Corporation, and Governor Abbott, Bookman, and essentially used debate competitive space to separate the strategy stand that Black is two, the radio from activists to scientists, Black people have been the race from the topic of honoring them, which is an independent reason to vote negative, also reparations, the history of unfairness to Black community, both inside and outside spaces were required. Mr. Morgan, after instruction during Black History Month, believing the finals in text is open reading arguments, trying to prove race theory that are banned here will be the ultimate form of unfairness, white supremacy that Jackson turned into 20, the Black American who was in the position of the Black History to give name to the work of the Black History, Black Americans already know whether or not they're recognized or not. We see the opportunity to honor the text of the Black America because Black Americans have about the former race, the race towards the Black race, those who often do break even just for 28 days. Next off, we would like to honor we would like to start the speech with a poem for the West Coast and the Black poet, author, educated parent, and come to return of the title of the poem is New Bones Disease. Crypto said we were new bones again, we will lead these drinking days to break through to another mouth of sunny, and only time in the world does the world like bees, we spend in the new bones, other people think they know how long life is so strong to live, we know that's James. 21 that we see new bones of abolition, no bones of rework, we inherit new legal struggle, talk about revolutionary friendly right now, because the fact where I'm a politician who at the end of the liberty on the fight with abolition in the constant represents what I meant to have a new bones, the question me whether we get them alive, this is what it now will come back and we have the history of the women back in the day. I guess I have abolition, people know we're not here. We don't say we have any kind of people have to become when you look like people with we need the pressure. We don't want to believe before we return this was the intellectual family, people who diverse and poor, and international relations dominated by sexual, racial, affective economy built upon slavery and colonization require intimate investments in order to protect us of the academic, affective economy all in the Polish Empire to say the economic sectors who make an invention role in the affective urban Irish people on the way of the was the competence and absence based on the major hierarchy and second to sexual, racial, affective economy, the affective value requires the making of the morals, otherwise the unsafety of the back of the colony of other Irish to the state, the them in the investing into the bureau or back to represent within the intolerant affect theory, and Western man is pulling at the foundation of violence of the one sea, described and calling things as Merivid, 23 human and made a secret, and how this industry produces double death and rebate to the acres and a lot of the president, under the care of future generation of species, left with knowledge of tales of women and back into the community, integrated to the living and dying in the human, it was designed to sexual form and not fatal with anti-black and the effects of subject great theory of biological form, the formation of the theory, and killing in human and now faced with death to apply to the possibility of illness, and the human will know and the within the season and the more human in the world things become capable of Western tools and technologies that develop human within the sun to planetary life and no one phase it was dependent upon the other to others, and the climate crisis, the re-articulation of Western time that developed black indigenous form making that necessary to invent the colonial planetaries away from carbon that's killing 21 time every color time now hiding in the world of time is a fail conclusion the what we face could have been based away black and radical black ecology black and over structured time racial capitalism wasn't the defenses of trying to take away racial capitalism and time is not really other than just because you have allegation structures of time and paralyzed in the fake we enforce the co-creation capitalism talking about the psychology of growth and imperative and being fascinating decolonial competent who run invented for decolonial planetary and geoengineering exacerbating inequality in the global south and trades off with anti-colonial research and accountability that's hard 23 the man the effect of global with the presidents and their creatures the global south and central reviews the copy and other ones like the union the company fix operates the baby country the company is most of them mentioned the important one that better than the impact and the government employees more than global thing I have the global attention and it could be government was happy the clinician the commitment and advocate the complicated discussion about how country be complicated with harmony union people research even though they have more than funding to go towards the global south and reparations are
skip that one and then move on to the next part.
Trying to disarm is either defensive disarm via government, disarm cause, rearm, that's the case of Act 21 episode of the nuclear abolition, personally more than the African, I take agree, rebellion by government, improving my value, capability, explicit, that we could not make about it or allies and large nation from nuclear weapon makers, and the leaper share all the war vision of war on nuclear weapon play to have those to keep entertainment on and proper nuclear arm, nuclear activity, utilize the elimination of nuclear arsenals, the favor, the regular prison, tracking armor, back around the ignorant, the procedure problem, and you just enter the Panther at the moment now, over the Anthropocene scholarship is whitewashed and signed equal weight of black and native people for the impact of ceremonial the institution of slavery called David 19 the scholarship typically designed to have the British more than whether the geography the water powers of unknown the domains to the way to strike the colonial area become visible the colonial area Anthropocene should be largely the outcome of recently practice the system of that process very slightly and the integrating into the historical process of most of my no Anthropocene now we privilege of generation common cross means equal to the binary category delineating the picture of my country where delineating the human and nature such as also to the Anthropocene scholarship of reason and now representation now active oversight of the regional relations of Anthropocene drawing to deliberary the black ecology and white and non-black bodies engaged in the study of black women in the body politics that attempt to organize the world as knowledgeable to the African society of black body as king 19 the African society of black body to be interested in the policy of war the beer and then the region that the basic part of the white research in the university trained the workers in the vessels of society trained to be upon the group of the fields of study who success to train to the development and political and improve the African culture on how you feel in the question how the events agree about say back to the breaking down back to the how likely it is safe in the event back to becoming this good care for the back in the body make it undo organize the white body in the different terms they're gonna direct the people to just my black life and the alternative that's we some people send the direct to the earth as a radical change to the human society or rejection of the voice that's what's like the plan not to change the escape the environmental racism from radical society power with the responsibility and I don't know that the world social the population goes has been further economy due to the national value with the interest of capitalism the economy has been taken into account it's for us to the end of the year we'll know why it should be just in to measure the environment the human environmental impact why environment is something they know that we why that is so equal having the current the capitalism government should as well as the human resources and the political economic and large scale ecological devastation regulatory always want to subject within the range of primary equal as the evil nations is really clear more about the role people over the reborn and the has to be psychological society and revolutionary anti-colonial the need for the massive house of very rally the movement and responsibility and area the to make it back around the only voices and other tech with the military and business going on the festival the figure they can pass to play go to case now the first argument
Skip that one and then just do the zero impact scenario.
Zero impact scenario, no solvency. They want to see Robinson evidence does not give impact scenarios for whether nuclear use could occur and disarmament is not solved. Existing pressures that make nuclear use inevitable, whether or not U.S. disarmament is armed to left. We want to see Robinson 23 guess whether agreed yellow doe town decision to in the Middle East and other pressures. The next argument is going to be optimism 1-0 from the link between disarming nuclear weapons and having those fun pressure defining climate change. Nuclear optimism as to the kind of link became because the politicians in the U.S. do not care about the environment. One knows both U.S. Democrats like Joe Manchin are pro-fossil fuels and anti-renewables. Next, the Republicans in the House will shut it down. 3, no public pressure. Talks the argument the majority of the American public not supported aid to Israel and politicians will send the blood money regarding the disease. 1, refuse to trust in the only way to resolve the impact lines to medical institution. It's a given to demand people cover the James Lee back. For the people trust in medicine and German rational medicine System really more about the you better also advise my capacity in the back. We're back and power that we will be the back and we give it the graphic organized in, bring them the report of the pain and then use power the empire, the right people. And I'm gonna skip the next part. I'm gonna go to the nuclear energy stuff, one turn, nuclear energy genocide, the way to look at it. As T20, the nuclear, this is rather than the energy people nation no water before, the money transportation and storage of nuclear waste on energy, something negative impact, destroy the sites and contaminate drinking water services, over the off phases and ability to drinking water clean, water supply and radioactive and supply the source to the sea and along the end of the anti-direct titanium, your titanium is possible to remove, impossible to remove all water and becoming danger, human health rates and operate the key bars and after this 74 times, I then intended to integrate and it has raised system and higher level uranium, uranium, and increase the worst case scenario, self-sustaining fire, which could lead to radioactivity and increasing further risk flooding to the climate. It could be given the same power to disaster we see in Fukushima. And their next
Go down, do the nuclear extinction, the framing.
framing nuclear extinction, discourse of races to reject this back on that nuclear extinction is a only matter of time to be the United States use the right discourse. By the way, when you face the nuclear war one, there's only one way to win. That's why after an intellectual how different free nuclear extinction would not be universal was like American would be less good things as also as fear like surviving the country logic it exposes with the country logic exposed racism is due to the extinction of racism in the term not only life however before the moment after the life certain family instructed to with the people color instructed to flee the city unclear how effective would be for due sense informed that the intersection of nuclear war and post hospital safety offer textbook instructing it. Going to geoengineering.
No, you can do another nuclear energy part.
Cool. The really good discount for nuclear energy reproduces nuclear weapons and secret and friends and nuclear and cross turning case stuff. Back in August 1980, but this is the end of nuclear American Australia League and the love for nuclear protecting by saying protecting nuclear weapons. Who's alongside the fantasy of being united with the endurance form of the energy when the conflict in the structure, American nuclear and continental to the repression of nuclear waste.
Let me send this next part really quick.
Wait, are you sending a marked copy?
Yeah.
It's just that waste, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wait. It's what was the author for that? And then I'll just mark it and I'll resend it.
It was at nuclear waste. It's like a
For the
little-
lemon card.
No.
on the back of the card.
Second back.
God.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
It's the
repression-
last nuclear energy card.
repression of nuclear waste.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, I sent it.
Perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just flip the Zoom so I can unmute it now. And your volume's down, right? So there shouldn't be an echo.
Yeah,
Okay. Let me know when you're good for process.
Wait, Julian, you can hear me, right? Like, not okay. Chill. I'm good.
Okay. Status of the alt.
You're talking about the critique, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unconditional.
Unconditional. I have some questions about the alternative. Is it a pick? Can it result in a plan?
We think. Well, you go.
I mean, I think it results in some people like challenging the nuclear order, not the United States.
Yeah, we think we made arguments on the critique on why the focus of the money C is distorted and has
So,
distorted black radical ecology.
Can I ask
We think
another quick
starting
question
there
just
is
about
Sure.
what you just said? So does the alternative, do we, some people, disarm the United States' nuclear forces?
It could, but it's like I don't think it's a pick because we're doing like different agent, different mechanism, and different process for how we get there.
And
Okay,
different
so can I
perspectives
talk to you a
on
little bit
it.
about the process for how you get there? So how do we, some people, disarm the US's like ICBM silos or submarines which are underwater? You said that there's a different process for how you get there. So how do we, some people, disarm the US's ICBMs, their SSBMs?
the wretched of the earth overthrows the U.S. nuclear order.
So how does the wretched of the earth overthrow the US's subs?
I mean, I think in the same way you justified fiat, we'll probably do the same.
But like, can you explain to me the process? Because you said
Well,
that
no,
the process
it's
is an
like-
important distinction. That was the first question of what is the process.
Well, the process is we some people.
Well, that's the agent. I'm wondering the process.
Yeah, the process is overthrow instead of reform.
But how do you, so I'm wondering the like physical mechanics of it, right? Like we can explain the downblending process that the United States would take in order to change its ICBMs into nuclear energy. What do we, some people, do to
Well,
physically dismantle the US's subs?
I don't think you downblend anything. That's not in the 1AC. That just sounds
Well,
like you're adding
we can
shit.
agree to disagree with that, but I'm
No,
sort
like,
of,
like
that goes
does
back
that
to my
say?
question.
Do you say that in the 1AC? Do you
I-
say downblending?
Regardless, I'm sort of asking that question, right? About like
Well,
how,
no,
what do
'cause
we,
it's like
some
I'm
people,
staying true to my word and you're not, and I'm just.
well,
trying
I
to
don't think
make
you're
sure.
answering my question about how we, some people, physically disarm the US's nuclear forces.
Overthrow, like rebellions.
How do you overthrow a submarine that's underwater? Like who goes and does that?
Like the wretched of the earth.
Can you give me like who is
Like
the wretched
I
of the
don't
earth?
understand. Like how does the 1AC disarm a nuclear submarine in the water? Like are you gonna swim down there with Biden or something?
Well, no, the submarines come back up, they board the port, and then the United States gets the weapons off of them. Like, we can give an explanation,
I mean-
but I'm wondering who Can you, okay, maybe I'll ask a different line of question. Like, who is the wretched of the earth?
The wretched of the earth are black and indigenous people whose extinction has already happened.
Okay, and so the alternative has black and indigenous people disarm the U.S. Does it have the alternative entail anything other than black and indigenous people disarming the U.S. of its nukes?
What's the, wait, my bad, I was paying attention.
Yeah, just like what else does the alternative entail apart from just like having?
Well,
the
we
wretched
think
of the
that
earth?
we've made the argument that black radical ecologies are the necessary starting point. We think that's not only in just like the material action of disarming nukes, right, but also the way that we learn about our connections to nuclear weapons and the way that is connected to the extinction of black and indigenous people. We think starting there with that pedagogy is better than reform through the 1AC. So we think like not just about like the material disarm, but also the way we learn about strategies to combat that violence. I need to get water, low key. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna take prep. Do you want me to wait for you to get back?
Yeah, please, I'll be right back.
Diego, there's a local order in Discord if you want to.
Yeah, yeah.
There's coffee on there.
Julian, I'm not like stealing forever nothing. I'm putting a boba order in on Discord.
Wait, we're getting boba?
Yeah.
Yes!
Also, can you like mute your?
Yeah.
Wait, are you good if I start prep?
Yeah, you're good.
Wait, actually, I'll do it to 10 minutes more.
Okay. Jason, I put my order. Let's see, Justin.
Wait, so did you read the disarm impossible card or just an analytic, right?
No, we skipped the card.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, that was good. disarm, climate, the procedural, and then the law. Julian, are you good? Are you all good now?
Like 5 seconds. Alright, we're good.
Nuclear war guarantees extinction and creates ultraviolet radiation that induces global famine, immediately threatens the entire planet's survival. It's the only disarm structure lowers the propensity for conflict by scaling down the multiple safe system structure that throws the nuclear war's unique. Once the threshold is crossed, there's no going back. Yes, there's for escalation. Our evidence says he was likely to use weapons. Now there are tons of hotspots. Yes, Taiwan and Ukraine, they need rate accidents and miscalculations. Proof use won't accidentally use it in any of these scenarios and cause an action reaction cycle that induces other countries to use their weapons out of insecurity because of the U.S. nuclear posture. And the plan induces other countries to follow on the climate change advantage. Climate change causes droughts, wild droughts, and floods. Escape tipping points have been crossed. The global scientific consensus is that the window for response is rapidly closing. The protein it always all the threats a trillion times cause extinction through its non-linearity, cascading effects, positive feedback, and critical thresholds. That's in assessment traditionally underestimate the threat and ability cause conflict. It goes nuclear climate change and increases diplomatic tensions, which triggers arms racing and disease, cause extinction. Traits exist in nature, create an existential pandemic globalization. Facilitates fast transmission that quickly transitions to lethality. That's Kim. Yes, funds are redirected. The also climate change transmitting prioritizes nuclear modernization of climate efforts. That's Ross. Yeah, cancels modernization efforts, which decreases nuclear weapons expenditure. Otherwise, evidence spending magnifies the economic risk of climate change. That's Kimball. There's no cruel optimism. There's no impact. People only favor of causal evidence. Most are innovative laboratory efforts would be redirected to sustainable energy. That's where the needs for evidence. There's more solutions for tech solutions that are bipartisan now. And apparently, the plan revised to NPT, which is a drop in length that's key to nuclear energy signatories, can facilitate the transfer of nuclear tech if they first nuclear weapons. That's and nuclear energy is proven scalable and can meet energy needs while leading decarbonization. The app prevents disease spread. Climate change makes pathogen spread exponentially more likely. Anti-ligas is not overturn disease and decision making. Their evidence is about balance in the medical industry and its vital history. Those systems are valid height in a world of global pandemic, which funnels people in those violent systems. They're not overdetermined in one particular way. The possibility of public health reforms that provide more funding, which adjusts externalities. No nuclear energy bad. Often, sir, evidence that the broader nuclear industry is bad. It's inevitable from nuclear weapons with a plan, but appropriates it. Their evidence also says the pollution is bad. We solve it. Nuclear power reduces resource intensity. Here at 22. Nuclear power doesn't low power, low resource pass like all the does focus on energy comes to emission. Using what's most comprehensive with the resource charge from the air cycle. Nuclear power in most cases reduces calculation from material carbon, emission quantity, and that's the process associated with the entire life cycle of nuclear power. This includes radium, annually, reactor fuel production, reactor construction, reactor operation, fuel reprocessing, reactivating emission, nuclear waste disposal, transport, interest, markets, mine waste researchers, treated land use for underground facility mine waste, enabling a rigorous economy. Nuclear energy does not reproduce nuclear weapons, durable and it would be public and efficient, which means it reduces extraction. Blue and 23 not only every efficient, maximize efficiency, critical to the cleaner energy futures high. At the expense of using expanding infrastructure for nuclear energy when the least and land intensive sources available could be the most viable strategy. Nuclear power saves millions of lives from air pollution, total of 23 people from Gunner Gun. Global nuclear power prevent more than 1.8 billion to air polluted related deaths and 50 from CO2. Number projected increase steadily as nuclear energy places also save space and life and places zero carbon energy production, coal and gas prevent almost every time nuclear power was and environmental justice community was created. And our framing is good prioritize extinction when irreversibly death decides in zero bombs to use for everyone always always go to ethics clean everyone ethics justified genocide nukes are independently painful just for harm marginalized populations free consequence low is good and double the same time say when their impact to be extinction outweighs any impact currently cites the cost benefit analysis which is inherently utilitarian for extinction discourse is not racist for many extra risk information we claim is good goals in 2018 and race that feel also really realistic information expected waste differences we more sometimes bonus medical publicity sometimes scholars sometimes all people facing ball choice value represent like the men with the white needles this encourages beyond the innocence of the collective right subject to use habitats and uncivil subject to not live for planetary class and chaos do not think there are past and options about the opportunity always feel like for somebody at the same time retroactive forces with nationalists and experts never too late altogether the black history of my laptop like sorry do you mind if I pause it's like about to die it like drops 20% suddenly so sorry about that I'm at 601 sorry the procedural perm to the plan and endorsed methods for black liberation endorsed by the black radical tradition. The list of activist support disarms the entire one sees endorsing a policy couch with black radical tradition, no link to plan provides a policy action needed to achieve climate justice, which is necessary. Method for black liberation interacts and evidence about white careers declaring Black History Month as unfair, refusing to accept American history, racism, and no links to the effort as readers in the accident impact calls for reference costs, averages climate change 123 are energy system driving rapidly and forcing climate cars operation relatively low should be through oriented struggle should not be related to climate justice, political movement provides an instructive example poses for more relationship versus public and political system. These approaches depend reversible action, scholarship, ecology, morale. The link between climate is not conceptual reparations as political, we can replace limitation, readers, advances in a way that locks in racial justice, unchecked the climate crisis, artificially highlighted overwhelming victories for racial justice and initial ones. And voting guide causes their offense one devices over two signaling which turns their urgency impact because instead of taking concrete action to address mass incarceration, broken by leaders and agents, civil organism to reparations, impact only amplified by the negative frame of Black History Month is anti-political to anti-racism, it submits guilt dissuasion and trades off with making educational spaces more broadly inclusive, which turns the erasure impact of guilt dissuasion is counterproductive to anti-racism and reject non-resolution procedures. One cross-like action fairness for the cases of reason must be recognized in this round is one method to which means there's no debate key where the logic behind their interpretation simply regressive to their unpredictable, infinite, unpredictable tweaks that prospect to the activity and merit a negative ballot. The K, filter all investment arguments on the all bills and civil verify you can't wait against the case framework with the implementation of the plan and alternative spending meeting material 71 Harris News minutes of the 1 in favor of enactment of vacuum 2 is class limits and incentives for new on-screen search review after even if this framework when measuring the all choose have to be case win permutation do both the all can overcome leads to the status quo the Nick can overcome the act. No new bones. We disagree with changing the economy as a site of permeated anti-blackness. It's not something the voting negative for the pedagogy can solve in any way. Their evidence concedes that we must start at the levels of power which are often antithetical to because we think compared to politics are going to be even if not feasible. No IR link. IR does not require investment in colonization even if the field is broadly problematic. The aspects for determine is good and there's no monolithic IR writer. The team choice not to defend force and making much love the policy for evidence I have the back of the regard after the opposite for the uncertainty. There's the internet presenting of course for design policy needs for any policy could lead to surrender to policy that will improve causal inferences to solve empirical problems plus makers where we find encyclopedic different 4-day lies on line decisions about recognitions new traditional recommendations quality and leadership they are directly undermines right recognitions academics have the word potential make outcomes to real base our research is the only way to evaluate them effectively and the after agrees that human-made disasters in the form of climate change were existential only the afford a way to address them so extinctions not inevitable their evidence the Western man's not including your boy in 21 human and urgent articulation of humans as begun orientation corresponds with about the problems with you where towards other communities states external mental layers mercies for to the 6 year travel and to the moral obligations to practical and promoting dignity commitment to existing which is from superficiality liberal justice is tenacious advocate of commercial hierarchies the struggles compared to archival practice point to these toxic oriented towards veterans for which turn the richer conception of human untrammelled by dangers of racism might emerge the climate crisis link is wrong it doesn't disavow black and indigenous world making our description of the present being key to solve climate change is accurate and necessary scientists agree the delay locks in catastrophic warming and the redirect capitalism to be more sustainable towards more sustainable forms of energy the geoengineering link intentionally altering the geophysical environment and level that's what occurred the past century only the plan redirects it in the right direction and the alt doesn't solve it can remove carbon from the atmosphere and the alt causes bad geoengineering buckets what you do create social pressure no serious future quality make geoengineering research quality change by having and then it's your engine can also temperature rising impacts such as populace hurricanes like there's some case for leaning if leaning as downside that way pressure peaceful media research will needs research will care about how open and transparency might stop the ones who could be listened to probably literally voices militaries we might hear out from the autocratic regimes would be lead structure research give full attention to everything with us approach we get at struggle to find answers we need more it's not fear we need experience and individuals like insights will we not like the result if we put off research we could find uneven progress now the rearm link no the FB office disarm that's key to Afghan otherwise we'll always lose our rollback and the cost conventional drawdown set and 18 and if you would love to be able to retain security they would be able to nuclear to assume the base first use of nuclear arms race and conventional arms short-term trends likely to last it just results in more cooperative secure relations the spark could die over time and gears by parallel conventional arms control try or die for the ass nuclear risk reduction M23 is back to the drawing board for nuclear risk reduction for advocacy has been never more compelling to against use is beating on saving nuclear arms control given that launch support we're use through miscalculations for the number that we have not used as world health system integrity and validity is here like it out of something and believe that they'll continue and just look at hope for global elimination without foreseeing time frame can reasonably hope for a serious global commitment to nuclear risk reduction the Davis evidence misunderstands our defense of the language of the Anthropocene it doesn't blame black and native peoples in fact the opposite requires focusing on how which white corporations and billionaires reproduce the worst impacts of climate change because their practices leave a much greater global footprint those binaries are good otherwise they let companies off the hook it's possible to both understand slavery and colonialism is violent still thinking that climate change is worse by humans and no link the study doesn't attempt to order the world through desire of blackness embodiment and racial hierarchies socially constructed valuables act 18 construction and reconstruction social has legal social economic and cultural movements taken together in different combinations isolated vacancy race natural level is human and geographically attention resistance has potential change construction although any resistance had a particular consequences and begin to really supported and duplicate other people to affected humans are mirror images social institutions thoughts and actions that individuals human attributes are randomly distributed to different groups as differences in human are no difference in human value moral team racial hierarchies for the known benefits for the that's depression or originate another hierarchies such as well done and understand on racial formation no oppression that preceded but to construction race implement racial ideas social technologies or necessary ideology may lead to new constructions and with the new identities and the old one the firm solves revolution overthrows of the social system can't pull carbon out of the air but the one he can fit into a revolutionary framework and 2 the all fails capitalism never saw oil producers or industrial consumers from consumption only tech can solve 3 there's no political will it will be crushed by corporations and the government has no actual blueprint for how it can be scaled up for a voting face or voter still 20 see experience fashion education by eliminating any ability to weigh offense the framework card I'm going to read it here considering alternative futures is key for all increase 2021 the understanding like and how the future assuming the future will look like what's like the present growth of reports and nuclear policy making is dangerous more important to anticipate what the future might hold due uncertainty trying to force the environment and it's can develop force and improve policy planning to make my original alternative future better sense and adapt to the ones that's merging future methods and gender knowledge and ability where we live through reflexive governments there's a card I want to read and failing to recognize the contingent nature of the world fracture solidarity workers between the traces of colonialism and analytic foreclosing even children individuals history and identified ways to redraw understanding imperialism so work with one another be sincerity and double individual co-generative cyclical mill theory descriptions are overturned by the historical then structure generates historical political problems on mentioned essentialism versus maintains the settler theory sovereignty within the settler colonials contested in a stable concept society done in objectivity settler structure the settler could beneath job and struggle overpowered knowledge resistance not futile other characterizes settler like irrespective of gender and sexuality like an indigenous histories and identities and structural over the imperialism we need their analyses be careful about reading them all ethnic diaspora and immigrant communities and with shuttles putting them in shared struggle works against indigenous sovereignty genuine colonization powers movements or some shared concerns for oppression and liberation is bound together mark at together and utopian fiat is a voting issue makes it impossible to garner deficits against the alternative and it's not reciprocal they can obviously contest whether disarm solves or not but we describe how that process works Also about that card. Is the body of the email fine?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Let me know you're good.
Yeah, I'm just about to send this one. Okay. The card just sent, but feel free to start whenever you get it.
So you're good.
Yeah.
Theoretical reasons to reject the team.
Floating pics and utopian fiat.
I guess that's fine. The responses to medical being anti-black, what are they again?
So the app doesn't increase engagement with the medical system. It solves disease by
Well,
preventing.
like that's kind of the point of the book to the cards, right? Both of
How
the
you
cards.
solve disease?
Well, like really quick, both of the cards talk about the ways in which the medical institution fails to engage with the question of structural anti-blackness, which prevents possible solutions from being invented for disease solving in the first place. So I'm confused for why that is the response, but that is our criticism of
So, well, that's a reason why the app doesn't make things worse because it doesn't force engagement.
But like the
with
cards are
medical
very
system.
specific
But
about wait,
that's like
sorry.
an important preface.
So, no, like I think well, okay, very important. I think that's kind of the argument,
Well,
right?
I want
where
to.
it's
There's like multiple
okay,
responses
sure,
to this,
go
right?
ahead.
Like, can I get to the other
Yeah,
one?
you're fine,
Because
go ahead.
yeah. Well, it's our argument is that the plan solves disease even if medical systems are like fundamentally problematic because the plan prevents the disease spread from occurring in the first place.
Sure.
Because it prevents
But,
climate
like,
change.
if
We
we
said
made-
Wait, actually, but it's like, patient zeros inevitably happen, and usually pandemics like COVID uniquely affect black and brown people.
Yeah.
You're saying you don't affect like the anti-blackness that goes on in the institutions, which means that it's like, who are you solving disease for?
like you're right, like we haven't made a claim that we solved anti-blackness in medical
Okay.
institutions,
They're just
but we do
whitewashing
think that
this.
the app
This is
prevents
fine.
more people from having those,
I guess the next
harmful
question is just
interactions.
like you
because
made
it
an
prevents the
argument
system.
about why like nuclear energy use is inevitable on case, I guess. Why does that justify the increase of nuclear power plants, which we said increases indigenous genocide, and how do
So-
we weigh that versus extinction?
Yes,
If
so-
extinction's already going
Okay, so
on.
there are like lots of different questions there. I'll answer the first about our argument's not that nuclear energy is inevitable. It's that you've read evidence that the nuclear industry is bad, and that is inevitable in the status quo. But the
But
plan
the-
redirects
okay.
it towards nuclear energy, which is less extractive for
That's
two
cool.
cards.
I guess like my question, right, is like you said that's already happening now. You've made claims about why the act increases that. Why is it not a
No.
linear discount?
No, the app decreases extraction because the
But
nuclear
the
industry
act
is far more
increases nuclear
extractive.
power plants.
Right, and we read evidence that those are
So that's
far
a
less
linear
extractive,
discount,
require
it sounds
less
like.
and
That's
land,
fine.
require less
I
minerals,
guess
less
my
uranium,
next
less
question,
mining.
I kind of want to talk about the answers to some of the case arguments. The first one, I want to talk. Yeah.
Geoengineering good. Which one was the author you read?
I read the Buck is the author, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's the other one.
I read the Buck card.
Yeah, I got you both.
Why is funding or like the disbursement of funding an effect of the plan and not extra like by the plan? Like what's the internal link between like
Yeah.
disarming and then
Yeah,
dispersal?
the
of
CSU evidence and then a couple other pieces of evidence says that the budget between like the EPA and like environmental groups directly trades off with
But like
high
that's
funding we have for the
trade-off. Why
military.
is that mean that those funds get implemented into
Yeah, the
this?
CSU evidence like makes this argument. So does the it's like the
Where-
starts
can you
with
point
the
me
K,
a line?
and it says like yeah,
Can you point me a line?
like yeah.
You started that.
Yes, I'm about to. What 10? 10. It's fine. I don't need it.
Okay. Yeah, if you just look at the second half of the card, it says it.
949. Are y'all prepping?
I thought you all took.
No.
Oh, he's not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you can take my second.
I don't know if there's. Julian, is there feedback?
There was for a second because my volume was on. But it should be.
We stopped prep at 9:49. Give me a second. Let me send out these cards. the Stanford. Okay. The order is critique, the disarm page, and then the climate.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Disarm. And then give me a second.
Julian, you got the order right? Curtis, you Emory? Alright, I'll start in a couple seconds.
International relations dominated by a sexual, racial, affective economy built on enslavement and colonization. It requires intimate investments in order to protect itself. Climate change is imploding because Western man has bit off more than it can chew. The reason we are in crisis right now is because white supremacy has to make black and indigenous worlds end first. Slavery, genocide, creating conditions for capitalism because of wealth monopolization. This is an impact on every tweet see. And when you see more in the sense, we need to work within the current system because the wretched of the earth advocates for overthrow. Simple ontology of the one continuum. When you see cross-legs means you should refuse any reforms that uphold the status quo. The one you see has said that we need to work via Western technological advancement, which is a self-fulfilling prophecy in terms of the ethicality of advocating for a future in which the U.S. is still exists as it is. They collude with corporations while we destroy their framework arguments. Our interpretation is the way see is a research object who should be held accountable for its epistemic political investments. One that creates revolutionary clash where we examine our subjectivities and become better people. Advocacies get distorted according to the reasons why we bring the advocacy up in the first place, i.e. there are various versions of disarm, like disarm because nukes are anti-black, or disarm because we want geoengineering. Telos focused debate is bad because it avoids the intricacies, the impact. This impact turns the perm debate because their entire war is we're aligned and they're not. No. Second, we're more fair. We have infinite prayer for the affirmative to understand their embodiment to literally read, and any claim of unfairness is resolved by prepping before and after the round. Next, the foundation of debate is unfair to black and native subjectivity, i.e. the foundations in when you see crossings prove that it can only happen with enslavement and genocide, which means you should censor a model debate that refuses to be defined by traditional interpretations of debate that are racially exclusive. The permutation one rejected. The method is functionally competitive. We, some people, challenge white exclusion that is inherent to advocate for the USFG and performing revolutionary fiat is better. James 17, Richard Harrison, the country, everybody, some of the USFG is supposed to be challenged the way, nor to we the people remote. Second, every link is a disaster to the permutation. 3, compatibility is not desirability, which is the clash standard above. 4, tragic disarmament to that extent. 1, see Eglin, Biden, Obama, Bush all said they would get rid of nukes through the NPT. Obama got a peace prize and didn't do anything because of fake threats like the disarm advantage. This is the rhetoric they engage in when they say things like competition or China aggression into SES Taiwan, which are all scenarios that are not listed in the 1EC evidence. That is why that becomes a justification in the future for rearm, which turns case it is the professionalization of abolition talk without actually abolishing every aspect of the nuclear infrastructure. Instead of re-highlighting the Robinson 23 evidence, which was re-highlighted in the 1EC. Next, vote negative to vote affirmative, which means no permutation. We as academics though have no stake in the game. Extent and keying the call for the ballot as a desirability is the idea that the 1EC responds to the calls of the people on the ground in the correct manner is a white savior logic that mirrors how non-black people engage studies are motivated by academic capital to make black studies better. Think that they are the ones to finally make the correct linkages between theory and action. It is a logic of productivity that is counter to the black radical tradition. Means voting negative to vote out solves because it short circuits. How do the floating pics argument here? Pics are good. Pics are good. One argument finding specific criticism of certain words. Force the affirmers to research every aspect of the 1EC, and when they lose on it, they're incentivized to go back to the drawing board and refine their argument. Second, that reclaims agency allows marginalized people to reclaim the rest of the earth against people who are white saviors. 3, most importantly, unfairness is good. During Black History Month, Jackson 20 says that it's sort of by whitewashing history that you should completely reject. They say that new bones is an example that says we must start at the state. There's no warm for this, which means you should reject the tweets, the articulation. They say no IR link, the evidence is bad. One, it's not about agriculture, which means no link, but second, cross-sex proves that ontology is proved because they have said that the foundation of U.S. is enslavement and genocide. They say the average the critique, every link turns the case. They say radical humanism is key. Radical humanism is key. One, every single link turn will prove that you are only a white savior, but second, the alternative solves this because the wretched of the earth transforms the world for themselves. They say that there's no link to the climate crisis extended here. The climate crisis every articulation in Western time that disavows black and indigenous world, making it necessary to invent decolonial planetaries away from capitalism that takes out fiat. Agriculture says that when climate change is articulated as a ticking time bomb that we need to act right now, fundamentally obscures the climate disasters that have been happening to black and indigenous people, i.e. Hurricane Katrina, NIMBY, policies that do fracking, etc. All of this is not need for global south country, which means you can vote negative without the 1AC's articulation of climate as a time of urgency. The link is obvious here because they have said that climate is an emergency. Their next arguments were the geoengineering arguments extend. Sean Hart 23 drop. Geoengineering cools down weather in the U.S. but causes reduced rainfall in the global south. That reduces crops and threatens water supplies, which hurts global south countries. But first, Sean Hart, they do a synthesis of climate studies. It would decrease water supply in Asia, increase jobs in Africa, affect 2 billion people. That would piss off other countries in the U.S. unilaterally, and it doesn't address the root cause of climate change. Goswami, change the underlying cause of climate change, transition need for geoengineering, also green that can destroy most of the Asia, increase jobs in Africa, increase food and water, resources 2 billion people to services direct from enabling the climate as the same true political change even for geoengineering is deployed will maybe used as a threat that will likely incite countermeasures. There are bunch of evidence is asked. It just says that we need to do social pressure to do better research. The app obviously doesn't do that because they don't care about anti-blackness and medical institutions, which proves that they don't care about anti-blackness towards the global south. They say the disarm argument that fiat solves. No, remember this debate is about justifications. The try or die argument doesn't make any sense because we have impact turn there specific form of disarm. There's no anthrolink. No, we have a better mode of analysis to explain climate change. The plantation scene understands the ecological moment we are living in is something caused by the small minority that controls second institutions of slavery in the present day, control of slavery, settler colonialism, genocide, or black people in the 1AC, and you will see that they know that their Anthropocene rhetoric is whitewashing. Racial capitalism pushes the benefit of the few at the expense of everybody else. It is the reason why white people like Elon Musk and Jay Bezos can be super rich, white men for doing nothing, and consigns black and brown laborers to do all the dirty work. The Anthropocene misses this analysis by assuming that climate change is human induced on an equal level with just exporting real life outlying white people would think that everyday working class Amazon workers who are black and brown have more blame in propagating climate change than white billionaires. That's violent because the figure of the Anthropocene ignores the racialized history of climate change. Several paved the way for the lines to be exploited and largely polluted in the name of capital, while the institution of slavery perfected capitalism. That is a double turn with their answer to extinction rhetoric case when they say that the we discourse of climate change affects all the impact turns the liberatory potential, because our argument is that we need particularities. The plantation scene solves the entirety of the affirmative and avoids all of the things I've already answered. Higher links on when you see Wonderling and when you see Shaw that show that they are embedded within this argument. The ontology argument first. The ontology card that they read one. The alternative comes first, but second, this card just says that we need more ways to envision humanists together. I will impact turn the extinction rhetoric link later, but also the black race of the earth is not seen as human, which is our entire ontology argument that they conceded. And when you see cross-legs, they say the alternative fails. The alternative fails. I will extend it here. Some people center the race of the earth as a radical change in human society in regards to the 1AC that solves the affirmative, because some people disarm the United States nuclear forces. The rest of the earth won't get the benefits of the 1AC's green side because they won't have the benefits of having being disarmed because the world already ended for them. The whole reason they are pushing the green side is because of white climate change. Because of white climate change efforts, the entire reason the black rich of the earth feel extinction first is because of corporations, consumer capitalism, and the facilities that they don't change the site side, which means they reproduce environmental racism at its core. Remember, the only answer to what does the app do for the rich of the earth? They say we stop extinction. We've not unique that, and we have impact turn their extinction ready. The alternative solves on multiple levels. It is a return to the source of decolonial and black radical imageries that challenge the root cause of the climate crisis, which is the West's desire to dominate the world via technological superiority. From nuclear weapons to energy, the U.S. uses it for supremacy concerns, not climate concerns. Centering the rest of the Europeans who are abolition from below instead of the ass, a person we top down. This gives examples like indigenous rebellion, like the Zapatistas overcomes every diss that the app goes for. The Zapatistas in the 90s was a group of small indigenous groups in Chiapas, Mexico that overthrew Mexico's settler colonial government, creating an autonomous zone that exists now, which is where they do decolonial activism like food sovereignty and more communal relations with the land. Also black environmental struggles like the Warren County EPCB protests that stop landfills in the south. Their version of reform is not because it causes the colonized to internalize the politics of the colonizer that turns abolish to defund to sustain to maintain and maintain to reproduce. The floating pig voter picks are good, but the alternative solves by itself. They say alternative futures are key. We are that alternative future, not you. They say a solidarity. They said our version of solidarity. Solidarity is better thinking the ways that the Zapatistas collaborating with the black miners to create the project Zapatera Negra, utopian fiat, the utopian fiat bad argument. We're not utopian fiat because we have defended a process of it. Go to case now. Disarm page. There is zero impact scenario for zero impact scenario. No solvency. 1AC Robinson does not give any impact scenarios for what the 2AC he highlighted. There's no such thing as Taiwan SES instability inside the 1AC evidence, which means that you should reject the on-base. It is racist fear mongering that you should reject. Racist fear mongering that you should reject. But also China NFU checks all of these arguments because the entire idea of Chinese aggression is a form of techno-orientalism that you should reject. China has NFU. They've abided by it. But the only country that would be hypocritical is the U.S. because the U.S., even though it's a signature of the NPT, still hasn't disarmed nuclear weapons, still hasn't given nuclear energy to other states, and still hasn't abided by the process of long-term disarmament, which means that you should mistrust the when you see the climate page, the NPT. I'll answer the NPT arguments here. I already answered it with the U.S. hypocrisy argument. I will impact turn their extinction. I'll impact turn extinction rhetoric now. There's first cruel optimism, zero internal link between disarming nuclear weapons and those ones transferred to fighting climate change. It is cruel optimism to a semi-causal link chain because politicians in the U.S. do not care about the environment. Their answer was durable fiat. They obviously can't see durable fiat because when you see Crossix said that it is not that the climate transfer is not a result of fiat, but rather a process. Our argument is that Republicans in the House will shut it down, and most U.S. Democrats like Joe Manchin are pro fossil fuels and anti-renewables, which impact turns their arguments. Extinction good. Nuclear extinction discourse is racist. It is a form of anxiety in which white people claim that it affects everybody, but in reality they'll do subversive arguments like in cover Joe's where white people are told to get into shelter while black people are racially excluded, which is the example that the background evidence gives. It assumes their evidence.
Are you good for process?
Mhm.
Okay, let me
Alright, sure.
Okay, cool. My first question about the alt, what does we some people disarming do about climate change? Like, is there any claim about how the alt solves it? Like, I understand how it solves disarm potentially, but what about climate?
Yeah, I gave the example of Zapatista rebellions. What happened after they overthrew Mexican governments is in Chiapas is they created an autonomous zone, and instead of using like Western technological advancement technologies, they returned back to decolonial like food sovereignty programs that made sure that we don't like end up, doing the root causes of climate change disasters in the first place.
Okay, so I guess my question then is, if we do the perm and we like overthrow the government, and
You don't
establish
overthrow
these
the
zones-
government.
Well, in a world where we, include
But you
the
don't.
alternative. I know that the plan doesn't overthrow the government. but,
Yeah,
like,
no, I'm saying that it's like you are
doesn't-
counter to all of those things. You are a counter-insurgent. You're white, like, scholars trying to claim
Wait,
that you liberate
okay, so-
people. But then in Crossix, you're like, oh, we don't do anything about anti-blackness in medical
But if
institutions.
we,
Like, it's like we
for
shouldn't
you
trust
doing, like, overthrowing the government and establishing zones where we don't do things like emit. I understand, like, maybe our scholars don't think that's good, but, like, why can't we do both of those things?
Because the black and indigenous record of the earth don't agree with geoengineering.
Okay, but, like, why does disarm require necessarily geoengineering?
Your 1AC advantage is geoengineering.
Okay, I'll ask a separate question.
Like you
about
can't sever out of the
Okay.
1AC scholarship.
Okay,
that
got it.
makes no sense.
Got it. The Harvey evidence that's like geoengineering's bad, just like it says it takes
We
too long.
we
to
also
solve.
didn't even read any defense like geoengineering doesn't solve, right?
Well, you just
we
read the
only
Harvey
made
part,
impact
right?
turns to your 1AC.
Okay, got it.
So
got
there's
it.
no
That makes-
permutation.
Okay, sure. That makes sense to me. I guess, but a separate argument I have about the perm though, the tragic disarmer dissad,
Mhm.
the argument just seemed to be that Obama didn't disarm.
No, that's not the
Okay,
argument.
what
The
is the
argument is that every single time we say the U.S. government should disarm, it always relies on vague threats like, well, we should disarm, but not right now because of vague threats like, for example, all of these things. We think that the 1AC is an example of this because the entire reason you want to disarm is because of like stressors such as Chinese aggression. That same justification of these vague threats in the SES Taiwan conflicts are what justifies rearming in the future,
Wait, I don't
or
understand.
or just straight up lying to the public, right? It's like Obama said he would disarm nuclear weapons, but then modernize nuclear arsenals in secret.
Sure, like that article or that argument makes sense, but I don't understand why that presumes fiat. Like, why can't we fiat that the U.S. wouldn't rearm with nuclear
Because our
weapons?
framework interpretation says that your justifications for disarm cause the consequence of rearm.
Okay, but
That's why we say like telos
the
driven
only
politics are
evidence-
bad.
You
on
haven't
framework.
read any evidence that if the U.S. literally disarms its nuclear arsenal, then the U.S. is going to continue to securitize other countries. It's just like the justification for nuclear modernization now is the fear of nuclear war. Well, obviously that doesn't presume disarm, right?
I'm confused by your question.
Like,
Like
the only
I've
evidence
re-highlighted
that
the
makes
1AC
it-
evidence. I feel like I've shown that it's like your vague threats for the first advantage
Right, but you haven't
justify
read
rearming in
evidence
the
that
future.
vague threats causally results in the U.S. rearming and disarming.
That's what the Egeland evidence is all
It's not
about.
about this.
It is about this.
Can I take a second try?
949. We're continuing chapter. Yeah. Hey, y'all didn't read Alexander on the procedural, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We have 941 left, Julian.
I'm just putting the cards in the doc real quick. It's gonna be the procedural, and then it's gonna be case.
Then process those.
It should be sent. Julian, I don't know if you could hear me, but I said it's I don't know if you're order either, but it's gonna be the procedural first, and then it's gonna be case. This is annoying, but I'm gonna grab a sip of water again. Because I'll have water.
Where'd y'all get the water from?
Do you want? You can.
It's fine. When I got this week.
Alright, I'll start in a couple of seconds. Just
I just got it.
Kevin, Julian, I think you're good.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
But you said it was procedural and then
Case.
the final one, right?
The energy stuff.
Okay.
Alright, I'll start in a couple seconds.
The bans and anti-black space be the long legacy of discrimination, violence, and racism that Black History Month resist. On Black History Month, the ballot should go to see the best provide the best message for Black liberation, acquiring insider their arguments in the couch in the Black Radical District. They have not met the burden of honoring Black History Month. Jackson extended here to fairness to not Black people during Black History Month is good, and thus playing the tournament on the banned CRT argument in the state would be the ultimate form of unfairness. That's Jackson evidence. Black History Month will always feel unfair to not Black people because it starts with subconscious racial fears that subject their non-black subjected upon submission under attack. Honoring Black History Month, the form of reparable justice that forces non-black comparative justice to be reflexive about the racial anxiety and growth. Destructive acts of whiteness also encourages people to be better and encourages epistemological growth. Means that we do have a spill out claim. I'm going to answer some of the arguments here. They say reject non-resolution procedures, but one, urgency, uniqueness, multiply from above and prove that this is a unique time to honor Black voices, but also our interpretation is limited to only Black History Month resolve all predictability and limit self, which means that you have to honor. Second, scapegoating is anti-Black reason reject the team, saying that we open the floodgates of bad debates. The same logic is said to use to justify CRT ban in schools by calling it psychologically damaging white kids to form or paternalism as the reason to reject the team for CRT logic. CRT ban logic also 3 our interpretation is better. Force you to recognize and honor Black History Month. We impact their interpretation because there is allowed for students to avoid necessary conversation about race and more so about the topic in a way as only been possible to do. Black scientists drop. Also honoring inquiry using Black authors, honoring them, and aligning your goals with the liberation of Black people, which they have not. With epsilon interpretation or arguments about what does it mean to honor Black history. The class stuff, our class is better because our knowledge is about debate that promotes the best form of Black liberation when incentivize the originally class, but also sit next unpredictability is wrong class interpretation about one topic, not multiple. Our interpretation checks is the permutation one, obviously procedural, not critique or counter. Obviously means that you can't perm, but also they don't honor any name in the 2AC means that they shouldn't get access to the permutation. They have not acknowledge the people who made the act possible in the first place, which means they just said they're in line but have not met their intern. Also, the permutations of former active voyeurism, a process of commodification, what they can seem to be claiming being anti-racist without honoring or actually solving anti-racist practice and reform white supremacy and colonialism within the academy. The entire evidence one, we are not defer. We have not said defer to Virginia because I'm black. Rather, you can vote for a team that provides the best celebration for black people cross-apply for earned standard above. Also, even if you think we are defer in this context is good, especially during Black History Month in space that's actually hostile to black and brown people. No impact does stop movement or anti-racist activism. No reward though, but the procedure outweighs it because it means that history never gets talked about and allows white supremacists to fill in the space. Also, scapegoating both of you cross-apply from above. The next argument is going to be the virtual signaling stuff. No virtual signaling. You saw the link because we spill out to the outside. I exempt I did above. The more you support black people, the more likely you are to do it outside. This overview, but also guilt persuasion. One, it's a racist logic that seeks they're trying to prevent guilt persuasion for white people. Is a racist logic that seeks to protect white kids from hard conversations that force them to grapple with the race rejected team for CRT logic. White people should be forced to confront the privilege that oppresses others, but also will impact turn guilt persuasion. If guilt persuasion makes white people do anti-racist action that's not better than them not doing mean that we have impact turn into tokens and stuff. One, no, we are honoring them. It's not for a balance for them, but rather about using the space in order to test and honor black liberation strategy. Tokenism, we outweigh tokenism because the alternative worse allows for no strategy and race and people of color which forecloses freedom. Alexander, they didn't read it, so I'm not going to extend it, but you should go to the next argument I will answer, which is going to be case. Nuclear energy, green energy comes at the cost of black and brown communities that have to get those cities or plant those plants out in inner cities. Climate change is magnified because those facilities are able to put them in marginalized communities in the first place. The air is fucked up in places like Wilmington. The average produces environmental racism, which outweighs in turn the case because it makes climate change really more likely. I seeing people of color disposable. The same logic that is turned on to the environment, i.e. Southern clearing the land for indigenous people to create infrastructure on soil land. Meaning that we're winning on solid roof claims to the Wednesday all-clear nuclear energy, so genocide further clean up the straight up lies and worsen the situation. That's Goodman 14 dying. They literally literally victimized the feelings of against so genocide 2 million people residing in 50 miles of mining could hear streaming over water switches and voices and the people that are located and the EPA on the injury to the day the EPA is trying to get inside the contaminant or dump tropic facility contaminate the water with the land and so forth and no control to the outside is like nothing that has really been done to clean up. And the reservation is systematically targeted at sites for nuclear waste. Supreme Court ruling a USG policy like Nuclear Waste Policy Act to make sure that health standards are less restrictive on federal land, means that every nuclear energy company is incentivized to put on native land. Also, they trick the people by giving them loads of money in order to allow construction, which causes their genocide and their cohorts to it. And they say extinction rate are good. The 2C really did this, but I'll answer a couple arguments here. One, they dropped out of some marginalized rhetoric that allows whites to ruin their movements. Two, drop that nuclear energy is killing indigenous people now would mean that we're sending extinction now. Also, no durable fiat cannot solve this. Great to not pour me in line. The 2AC process for 30 seconds mean you feel like they'll get a new internal link, but also for the government to just first to fund the other sectors of the military industrial complex causing conventional shift, which turns the case medical. One, to extend James refuse to trust him. The only way to resolve ethnic lines is in medical institution and to give it to the man, the people of color. Drop the process explanation I gave would it prove that structural racism is the root cause of medical institution, which is the 2 pieces of James explanation that you should extend, which proves that you shouldn't give them to. Also, anti-black construction is a way for disease and medical care to happen. Only alternatives you frame that superior evidence. Next, prefer when we try extremely specific example of the way see evidently ignored native land becomes a target for nuclear waste, reject environmental racism. At every turn that most watch hour, 22 new reservations been protecting nuclear waste for hands of mind and other whole nations that has been poisoned and they're drinking water can cause lung disease for generations. But nation Koreans are targeted in the continent Western showing her for leukemia, legal economic and regular power imbalances and target reservation trials where social reasons and health standards are restrictive and nuclear policies authorized and emphasize to store nuclear waste in NATO that was targeted financial assessment for relations with equal land for economic racism equivalent to bribery win you man with chosen voices you don't even never really African knowledge Brazil owners of the land and never been found in the ground while they contaminate highly as to the levels of danger chemicals with colorful lawsuits have been participated in mentioned textbook example of environmental racism. I'm gonna go to the Lawrence Card 1 nuclear power plant specifically target communities of color, especially black and brown communities, and ethical situations that not be ignored. That's 1 to 1. Nuclear power not coming down the dropping nuclear waste, marginalized communities, depending on understanding how nuclear waste had marginalized communities past. I'm gonna cut the card in the past. I think the second card is probably really better, probably gonna win the debate. African Americans disproportionately affected return and structural violence at large level. The plant causes cancer, waste, spike, contaminate drinking water, subject citizens, or to death. It also makes nuclear action more likely to be in case as Lawrence Lee, one of the minority groups in the African religion, 51 nuclear white people in general, there's exactly what happened more than community force relying on this is only that the poor people face most of the deficit.
Yeah.
Hey, Devin, are there straws?
I didn't order anything.
Oh, Curtis, you need a few.
I didn't order anything. It's fine. Thank you.
Oh, you're on the heart. Oh. Yeah, that's it.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Personally,
How much time do you have?
Let's see, Julian. My bad, you're good. Yeah, I'm just. Okay, Julian's here. The order is gonna be. Are we doing like disarm and climate on separate pages? Okay.
I got one after the other, so you're fine.
Okay, disarm, climate, and then the procedural, and then the critique.
I sent out one.
Give me a second. I want to put in the draft.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Sorry, I sent out one part of the body. I can.
No, that's fine.
I can.
Is there a separate doc or is it?
It's just one part.
Wait, sorry, you did, only disarm procedure, okay?
Mm-hmm. Disarm climate. Sorry, disarm climate procedure.
Great.
Julian, we're good. Okay, Long Beach, Shell, good. I'll start in like 5 seconds. Philadelphia Renegade Power that culminates in extinction 2 impacts 1 confidence coming out of the U.S. nuclear postures great structural risk of miscalculation nuclear states respond with buildups that results in accidental launches strikes that cost a Newport and extinction gas classes creation occurred in the tweets of the U.S. accidents are particularly likely in places like the SCS and the ECS which causes escalation but they've dropped the accidents independently even if China has an idea and abides by it and they won't escalate the U.S. striking first will prompt a second strike which proves this U.S. is hypocritical. It's our argument accidents mean that we strike first but the plan removes us the climate advantage climate change outweighs the plan unlocks nuclear energy otherwise increasing temperatures rising sea levels aerospace volcanic activity ocean Pacific exposes a grave threat that's Brody and Boston turns again because it implicates the success of their movements concedes that there's no funding shift to zeros. The geoengineering link we will concede there is no funding shift on decay, which means what the geoengineering link was most of the Tuesday, but it does not zero the advantage because they have not answered the other component of this advantage, which is the nuclear energy internal link, which is not extractivist yet simultaneously scale up. Republican Democrats will say yes because there is massive demand on both sides. From a Republican economic standpoint, duck and cover drills is not something that neither side solves, but the plan prevents the need for those because it removes the main stickler. Now nuclear energy solves climate change and results in sustainable transition away from sources that manage to cause harmful emissions. Solution they dropped that against model internationally, which is that it's also on a global scale. They've dropped the nuclear energy is inevitable nuclear test from Norfolk in a massive devastation to the environment. There's only a reason the plan makes it better. It does not turn case and evidence the plan results in more land being cleared in the one of our does not say that nuclear energy makes climate change. There's 3 2 ET cards. On this in the one of our does not respond to 1. Nuclear power reduces extraction as a low resource energy source. It reduces mining intensity, which is inevitable. Now because of coal usage, it's not racist and it's not tracking people call it just 2 words. Second, it minimizes land use. Nuclear energy is more efficient and will not come at the expense of community that's moved. Third, it saves millions of lives from air pollution and related death dropping. The impact satisfied. That is nowhere to replace fossil fuels. It would save as many as 7 million lives. They are wrong roads and 18 umbrellas. Nuclear energy comes from the radiating fuels, which will produce the competition of the sources. Nuclear power. That was a good power. So we do have to come to do one water. We do also lose physician running chemical burning. There is a collection of from coal. Nuclear radical decarbonizing nuclear power. Greenhouse gases from land. So we use nuclear power release. Less radiation mark the card. At less radiation. Now, extinction rhetoric is good. One is the only reversible impact of the only metrics is the values. Each life equally nuclear war is the ultimate form of structural balance. There's no going back. It wipes out future generations for abstract moral purity, which is in direct response to any saviors of arguments. Like the advantage 2 meets their interwarming is a unique ways that you should carve out an exception for arguments is not that usual should always be evoked, but warming is a particular scenario. Third, Coles and Susan was dropped and explicitly says that when he in fact is total extinction risking the massacring the vulnerable. Taking white people is an ivory tower obstruction that paternalistically tells black people to lay down their lives without their choice, which zeroes their value. Happening now is a bad metric because things can always get worse. And fiat does solve this insofar as we think that it's a good model for engaging in debate. There's no disease office diseases and deterrence and alternative because the alternative is far worse. Voting out prevents the spread of diseases. Their structural arguments mean that black and brown people would be funneled into those institutions more, but the plan costs also the plan costs a conventional draw on their evidence does not say half with the 2 users, but it's rather counterfactual card. Only we have run evidence 2 that indicates the plan will result in treaties that lead to conventional disarmament. Procedural. Debate is not overdetermined by anti-blackness, and your ballot cannot resolve anything in this debate. Ballot should go to who did the better. Debating anything else is arbitrary. Unfairness and non-black teams is not good. Their argument presumes that debate internalizes decision as the truth and sends us back to the drawing board, which is wrong. Understanding of debate just incentivizes us to propound arguments more, which means they cannot solve their war. And now, in regards to resolution procedurals, there are infinite unpredictable tweaks. The impact is fairness and clash that will be on the K. Unique timing arguments are infinitely regressive because everyone finds something important that they must talk about. The logic behind their answer. The opposite of people only talk about what they care about and refusing to engage with Black History Month, which is worse for their offense. Their clash is not better. Predictability is the key internal link. Only 1 month does not solve our offense. Other explanation about the threshold was we did not offer any names. That is a bad metric that incentivizes tokenism and not black people finding 5 random black people that align with their perspective and don't genuinely engage with them. Drop the key question: what does it mean for an argument to be couched in the black radical tradition? Their model requires white judges to determine what is and is not included, which is more violent, but there's no spell of balance, will not change debate. Nobody's turning towards the final subtext to determine the ethicality of arguments. The 20 people watching this live stream will not magically think disarmament the audience is a good idea after this, but we are, but are watching because they want to get better as debaters, thinking that it is truly optimistic, which turns her off into can confront racial anxiety, but using the ballot as a tool is bad for the reasons of which that is not a reason to protect the team. At best, it protects the argument, but independently, their impact turn is wrong after our offensive up. Okay. International politics is not overdetermined by humanism. Newport climate change turned that was the overview, but 2 Gilroy indicates humanism is sustainable because it has expanded the scope of considerations to include all populations and caps they need of the global south, which you should understand as a regulation of extractivist logic that prevents their impacts. It does not pathologize, but rather indicates the app solves the planetary decimation. The alternative certainly does not solve process. Was embarrassing. How do we some people to some underwater submarines or to get the attention to quote on ICBM Long Beach? Asks black and brown people to place blind faith into their hands, which is bad because he gets immediately cracked down on by the military framework way. The 1EC gets competitive opportunity class classroom model. This is my target to reach a relationship with an academic vacuum by moving to 1EC. Second, its fairness that it has a burden of rejoinder. The role of the ballot is arbitrary. It's also includes the absolute standard of epistemic perfection. Counter research, project and store office because it is a model or proper defense of every single ethical representation that your model cannot solve. The clash matter or because KVK debates run to the most strategic debates possible because they cannot solve competitive incentives. Predictability turns is because even if an individual wants to be good predictable roots, then the resolution is necessary to maximize clash. Our preserves reform KVK debates which is better. Now subjectivity, individual based on shape, subjectivity, the other larger all costs like school, family, and friends, stuff the nature of strike. Means that we are from in one debate, we negate the very next. We don't ignore reasons for why disarmament is good. You can still discuss this, but that should be not the basis for competition. They are not moral, more fair prep. They zero infinite prep to zero prep, and that word equally applies to negative. The foundation of debate is not inherently racist, and not this topic. And many is the opposite, where we have discussions of abolition and the convergence of nuclear war, which is a function of colonialism, which was that our fairness is not bad. Now, the picks are bad. A framing issue that there is no defense in the 2 and C2 our offense or term is unpredictable as degrees of reason about to find a single article that can be turned into a pig instead of engaging. The amount of research about our offense, which undermines clashes that turns to a literature argument and only results in plain vagueness and harms to the Afghan. They're infinite, especially when the argument is that they can find any word in the one you see to pick out of. They're not a key to agency. They get also in the K after ability and ground outweighs key to innovation as second argument. Expand must reject, but must reject the team. Otherwise, it creates a moral hazard. There was in round abused by perm through both U.S. and harm. And recent people can also challenge by disclosure advocating for the government to act isn't inherently exclusive but necessary to disentangle the nuclear arsenal. It is not burned through the old arguments, so competition does not matter. No tragic disarmament is that it does not assume fiat, which means that Obama is not doing it in the past. Does not matter because the perm so durably binds. Now the IR link does not make any sense. Their critique is too sweeping. They just said it's not our area. The Angelo, the field contains thousands of subfield and it reflects the rigorous reason design and quantitative technique defines each other. Their technical methods have improved over time. There's no climate crisis. Urgency framing is good in the context of climate. Otherwise, they cede spaces to the companies like Lockheed and the fossil fuel industry, which is way worse. The Anthropocene link is wrong. Their arguments about Elon Musk are not anything to do with the one EC, but those binaries are good. Otherwise, they let companies off the hook. Geoengineering link will extend the defense of geoengineering. Geoengineering is bad for climate change. Is wrong. It does not make other countries angry. The U.S. would engage in carbon capture, which is globally desirable, solving climate emissions. Geoengineering is evil. In the world of the alternative, this is offense. Abandoning government use means the militaries and rogue actors capitalize and intervene in other countries. That is way worse. That's the buck evidence.
Can you mute Shredders?
Yes.
Okay. Julian, we're continuing neg prep. It's 9:41 left. Starting now.
You're so
There's no reason. put like, get like here down. I need a focus.
Thank you. Yo, it's still kind of loud.
Sorry.
sake of it. Julian, where is it? So the order is, let's do the critique, procedural, the disarm page, and then climate change. Julian, you got it? Emory, you got it?
You said the order, like you didn't say something.
No, I didn't say anything,
Okay,
but you got
the
the
order
order.
we got.
Kevin.
International relations dominated by sexual, racial, ethnic, economy, enslavement, and colonization. They have dropped the root cause evidence that Western man is imploding. Climate change is imploding because Western man has bit off more than they can chew. The reason we are in crisis is because we're in white supremacy. Have to make black and indigenous worlds end first. Slavery, genocide, create the conditions for capitalism because of wealth monopolization. This is an impact transfer we see. When you see one that says we need to work within, this is because the wretched of the earth advocates for overthrow, not working within. Simple ontology that when conceded when you see cross-sex means you should refuse the one you see. They have conceded that this internal link to the reasons why tech advancement is bad means that their returns to geoengineering, nuclear energy, pandemic control are all impacts on framing issue. For every advantage, their only argument is geoengineering is good to solve extinction. Same with disease, same with nuclear energy. For every evidence we have read, we have said that these technologies require the extinction of black and indigenous people that not only impacts their extinction outweighs what on a material level, but it proves our ontological claim that for them to preserve white climate futurity, they require the extinction of black and indigenous wretched of the earth. We have fundamentally impacts on the app and said the alt solves better because they have dropped alt solvency because we turn away from extractive technology and turns towards decolonial imaginaries. Kevin, Justin, Julian, I'll put it like this: is the most Kate-like strategy you'll see that's reminiscent of this had planned to be because our all is competitive. We hate all their tech and solve climate disasters better, which means we access their extinction scenarios without being racist. The liberalism sustainable argument at the top. Liberalism is not inclusive because we want ontology and geoengineering with genocide the global south. Their extinction outweighs the when he sees hypothetical that genocide outweighs the when he sees hypotheticals because of ontology. There's no link to the academic criticisms because it was attacked because it was attack on extension 1ER was blipping on a framework. I want a material consequence of the plan, so I meet under that framework. I won't extend mine because I'm going for a material dissent, which will be geoengineering bad because it turns the app. The only thing that matters here is that they drop the IRS found off of slavery and genocide, which means that their calls for fairness are founded off the unfairness of black and indigenous. That can't go for a framework question into it. They have to defend a specific way that geoengineering, nuclear energy, or disease control will liberate black and indigenous life. But the only thing they tell you is extinction, which is the only thing they've done this entire debate, and the Twitter will be new. You vote them down because that is white savior rhetoric that we have been explicitly clear to reject since the beginning. The perm, zero way the Twitter can stand up and go for a permutation. We have impacts on every advantage. The app likes climate tech, we hate it, rejected. The method is functionally competitive. We, some people, challenge it by exclusion that is inherent to advocate for the USFD. They did not extend utopia fiat bad, and we have said performative revolutionary fiat would overthrow the United States. So that form of fiat is good because it allows a reclamation of black and indigenous subjectivity, tragic disarmament to that extent. When it's the Eggland by Donald Bush said they would all get rid of nukes. Obama got peace president didn't do anything because of vague threats. The 1ER articulation of accidents is a switch out for China aggression is new, and even more of an example of a turns case rearm argument. Where will the accident happen? With who? Why? Etc. All of these questions go unanswered, which means reject and drop. We highlight the latency. Robinson evidence votes negative. The PIC's argument not going for the PIC. They said geoengineering good. We said it's bad and that we should overthrow the U.S. and do degrowth. The no tech is functionally competitive, but you should reject the PIC as an argument. But I'll extend defense one argument refinement, finding specific criticisms, allows for black and indigenous virtually the reclaim agency efficiency that outweighs fairness because of ontology, but they draw fairness defense that infinite perhaps solves, and this is the contextual disagreement, which means they should be prepared to extend the link when mishandled. Geoengineering cools down weather in the U.S. but causes reduced rainfall in the global south that reduces crops and threatens water supply, which hurts global south countries. You should refer the Shamar 23 evidence. It does a synthesis of climate studies. Their Bug 22 evidence is asked because it says that the only thing we should do is pressure scientists to be better, but nothing about the when you see pressure scientists to be better. But they conceded the cross example that they maintain anti-black institutions because all they can say is extinction outweighs when we bring up real concerns that black and indigenous people have in the real world. You should prefer the Swami 20 evidence I read in the 2NC when dropped. It says that she is a climate change program manager in New Delhi and says that geoengineering would decrease water supply in Asia, increase droughts in Africa, affects 2 billion people that would piss off other countries if the U.S. unilaterally does geoengineering, which increases the risk of nuclear conflict, which turns case the U.S. would manipulate the tech to use it as a climate weapon. The evidence even says geoengineering is just as bad as a nuclear weapon because the WNEC conceded that the U.S. is founded on enslavement and genocide. You would not trust the nation built on racism to use geoengineering in an ethical manner. Our evidence turns the case. It says U.S. geoengineering efforts will turn into a bioweapon against nations of the global south, which means extinction is more likely if you pass the app than if you do the alternative. The carbon tax argument is new rejected, and if the U.S. is responsible for genocide, we shouldn't trust that the U.S. would do carbon tax. They all this said they got to it too late. We some people sent to the rich of the earth as a radical trees human society that solves all of the that solves all of the links because we don't do technological extraction. Remember, what does the app do to the rich of the earth? The answer is nothing. The alternative solves on multiple levels. It is a return to the source of decolonial black radical imagineers. Drop 2 examples that solve the entirety of the app. 1, indigenous prevalence like Zapatistas overcome every diss that the app goes for. The Zapatistas in the 90s overthrew the Mexican government, established an autonomous zone, and created local food sovereignty programs that went away from technological extraction. Black environmental struggles like PCB protests and Warren County proves that we solve the affirmative, but they can never solve all the alternative because they require the death of people. Go to the procedure now. I'm gonna concede that there's no spilla, which means that there's no offense that can be classified from this flow. It's just the reason to reject the argument and not the team. But either way, happy Black History Month. Only the black and indigenous wretched of the earth alternative resolves all the reasons why we should prioritize more material strategies. Go to case now at the top. Extinction framing is racist. 2 arguments mishandled. No 2 new to our explanation. Both pieces of Lawrence evidence are dropped in the Goodman and Mushnigar evidence in the Winnar are not responded to. The panel cannot tell us that it was an answer because it wasn't. Extend every piece of Winnar evidence was dropped, which means you should flow straight through. Drop the James and Perry evidence that says that anti-blackness makes disease impossible to solve, which means you've won an ontology argument that turns case and that the Bagnov evidence says that extinction rhetoric is bad. Both the arguments above prove that the offense every will go for it will be an extinction always push, which we have impact to extend Bagnov. Their form of extinction rhetoric is racist. Their source of root cause of all their offense which is anti-blackness per the explanation above, which means you should reject their framing of app solvency. Nuclear energy is slow genocide. That's federal cleanups or straight up lies that worsen the situation, which is an answer to their EPA arguments. We have read multiple pieces of good evidence on this question. Nuclear energy undeniably causes genocide because it's toxic to indigenous people. It causes cancer rates, contaminate drinking water, etc. And the plan would actively cohere indigenous people. When the TWR says we reduce pollution and saves millions of lives, you should ask yourself, where is the word indigenous people in that piece of evidence? If it's not in there, then you should not trust that those millions of lives, including indigenous people, and only protects a white future.
We had 250. Oh, sorry, I have to hit this 40 more times. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, I'll do this. I'm gonna do extinction stuff first.
Justin, Kevin, do you think we're gonna need a car doc or no?
Yeah, I think it's right at the top. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, they just finished it.
Everything?
You should be good. I'm sorry.
Everyone's good for an order. It's disarm climate.
Vote act to prevent a nuclear war that culminates in extinction. They have no offense because they conceded that the act does not result in geoengineering and spotted us that nuclear energy solves the climate disaster. Only have to win. The plan prevents war and extinction is bad. You can't just fight naked battle because all link arguments come secondary to maximizing human life by avoiding global nuclear escalation. There's no defense. Nuclear war is a unique phenomenon. This scenario was not answered by the 2 which was overly focused on the second half of the advantage, which we extended defense to and the 1AR. It's the only effect with a clear threshold that happens before we some people can dismantle nuclear weapons with the threshold costs are going back and millions of lives immediately causes total extinction of humanity. Nuclear weapons are going to stretch. We're all risking miscalculated accidents as long as nuclear weapons remain. There's a high likelihood that human error will result in catastrophic use. We have inroads to their offense, but they have none to ours. More self-source, more structural violence that has a disproportionate impact on marginalized communities. Yes, hotspots are evidence says, quote, China, Pakistan, North Korea, Middle East, all add further pressure to this dangerous strategy and makes escalation likely. But it doesn't matter. The evidence in the 2AC says that, quote, the risk of use through miscalculation is greater than ever, and that we're lucky that there's been no nuclear use. This is a structural argument that's not been answered to throughout the entire debate. And if extinction framing is not racist, you can't just assert, extend one in our evidence, treat any doubt you might have as reason or affirmative, because even a chance they're wrong has the higher opportunity cost of condemning the world to imminent suffering and death. And the top of the 2 and R says that they agree that trying to prevent extinction, and they're trying to prevent extinction is something admirable. Use it util the only egalitarian metric for impact on communities that values each life equally. Any alternative metric arbitrarily devalues certain bodies which life is into logic. They've criticized about where nuclear energy and geoengineering has a disproportionate impact and it wipes out future generations, which implicates the current population. We're seeing the end of human existence for moral purity is unethical. That means our only job is to scour the for a way to reduce existential risk. The Colson and evidence is responsive to the argument about it being racist. Explicitly says the one he sees impact is total extinction, risking the massacring the vulnerable to kill white peoples and Irish terror abstraction. Absurdly tells black people to lay down their lives without the choice, which zeros their value and justifies dispossessibility. I'm not going for the disease, and I'm not going for the disease impact as being terminal, but they have no capacity to solve and no explanation of the anti-black does not make disease impossible to solve. We answer the evidence because the likelihood of pandemics ensures that more black and brown people are funneled into this system. They labeled as racist, which makes it trier-eyed for solving nuclear war and nuclear energy, which prevents ice sheet melting. Now, the nuclear energy debate. If you think util is bad, then vote act to prevent violence from the impending climate catastrophe, because nuclear energy solves climate change. It results in sustainable transition away from sources of energy that cause harmful emissions and pollution. They drop that it gets modeled internationally, which means it solves on a global scale. The roads evidence from the 1AR star. It responds to all their concerns about nuclear energy from fuels and waste and a radiation perspective. It says that nuclear power should both be a major component of a rescue from a harmful, meteorologically destructive world. It produces energy via fission rather than chemical burning, generates output with no carbon, and releases far less radiation, which responds to the cancer argument. Our evidence says that, quote, is radically decarbonizing, and our evidence says it's less extracted than the status quo, which requires high intensity, high amounts of extraction to produce energy, and coal is infinitely worse. They drop their evidence that says it saves millions of lives from air pollution related to deaths. Just because it does not list out indigenous people specifically does not mean that they're not included in the study. It says that 7 million people are going to be saved from it. They drop the nuclear industry's inevitable nuclear tests from weapons result in massive devastation and the status quo, which means there's only a risk that the act can solve. Now, the K. It's odd that they're going for the geoengineering lead because we conceded defense to it. The 2NC said the plan does not result in funding for the 2NC said the plan does not result in funding for geoengineering. We conceded that argument so they cannot go for the argument that the plan results in more geoengineering. We extended the nuclear energy internal link, which is absolutely totally distinct. All reasons why nuclear energy is good are reasons why we wouldn't necessarily have to rely on geoengineering. If you think that they somehow have access to this link argument, we do not maintain anti-black institutions through it. They agree that extinction matters, but geoengineering is good. It's not the same as nuclear weapons. Developing carbon capture technologies on a new argument. Our 11th evidence and others in the OIC says this is a more likely way that geoengineering would be implemented, but we don't think that that would happen post-plan because they said that it would. has expanded the scope of consideration to include all populations and encapsulates needs of the global south, which you should understand as regulation of extractivist logics that prevent their impacts. It does not pathologize, but rather indicates the absolute planetary decimation and biodiversity loss because it solves warming, which is a proximate cause. This is an explicit answer to their oncology claims, which they have yet to answer this evidence. Just because we said that the U.S. was founded on stolen land does not mean that it's going to consistently, that does not mean that extinction is inevitable. Nothing about the absolute climate solution requires the extinction of black and indigenous peoples. We have agreed that doesn't do anything about geoengineering, but every reason why we solve nuclear energy is offense against the all if it does not do nuclear energy. Now, framework, they conceded our framework. This means the only establishment for competition is the consequences of the plan. This is really important because the one explicitly conceded their linked defense, but picks are independently bad. The 2NR says no link, we're not going to go for the pick, but then proceeded to extend the alternative, which does the plan, but just we some people instead of the government to disarm nuclear forces. The 2NR does not have a warrant for why should reject the argument, but if you do reject it, they have zero weight to generate uniqueness for the links, which makes it tie-dye app. They drop all our standards are unfair because they steal the ST loads, which makes it impossible to generate solvency deficits, and nobody knows who their agent is. Fairness is the only impact your ballot can solve, which they've conceded on framework. Their model justifies any random agent pick with the K of your choice. It's the disarm counter plan against the disarm app, which makes effective strategy comparison impossible. Turns their only argument for offense that they destroy clash over strategies by subsuming all of offenses is not why outweigh because of ontology, and there's no warrant in the 2NR for why this is the case. Infinite prep does not solve. When they reduce the prep to zero prep, their agents they can pick out are untenable, which makes pre round preparation impossible. If you reject the argument, then there's absolutely no alternative to solve an impending nuclear crisis in the status quo. But how they describe the alternative in the 2NR makes permutation do both incredibly strong. If the all is so strong that it erases the entirety of the state, solves all of climate change, makes it such that nobody has nuclear weapons ever, then the permutation is definitely strong enough to solve both teams' offense. And they said it's utopian, and yes, that makes the permutation better. There's no tragic disarmor to that. This is just Obama didn't do anything. The permutation is doing something and doing something even more obviously than what Obama did. They dropped the affix of durably fiat that we disarm, which means that it doesn't matter that Obama not doing anything in the past. Doing anything in the past is not the same as the permutation, which also includes all the strong ways that the alternative overthrows the existing system to solve climate change and the unsustainability of the Western man. The one-air articulation of accidents was not new. The evidence we read in the 2AC and the 1AC evidence substantiate this argument was clearly extended in the 1AR. Good debate.
Good debate.
I sent y'all a card doc. Julian, I sent out a card doc if you want one.